Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. This is the Storage Rationalization Project Department Town Hall discussion. We're here today to talk about the various options that we have for storage. As I'm sure you're all aware, we are currently in the process of retiring our current UAB file server. Right now, we have in place two options. We have Microsoft SharePoint Online, but we also have a restricted NAS, which is a Hitachi device that will be providing Windows file services. Right now, we want people to migrate to SharePoint Online. That's the ultimate goal, is to get as many people into the cloud as possible. But we do realize that there are some instances where this is not possible. Currently, those two instances are people that are going to have restricted data, people that have workflow issues. And by workflow issues, I mean things like you have routines based around access databases that run off of a network file share that take input and output from certain directories. Things like linked Excel spreadsheets, Word documents that link to other documents and sources. Those do not currently work in SharePoint Online. So in those instances, we will need to migrate over to our restricted NAS. Currently, we're scanning everything on UAB File, proactively looking for any type of security concerns. This is involving mostly, social security numbers, credit card numbers, any other types of restricted data that we have defined by policy. However, if you happen to know of anything that you have in your UAB file share, it would really help the process if we could go ahead and get you to self-identify and contact us. That way we can schedule your moves with more accuracy to the restricted NAS. Now, basically, the restricted NAS is going to be another device similar to what we're currently working with UAB File. It's a Hitachi NAS solution. We expect this to be deployed over the next 1 to 2 months. After this is deployed, we here in Infrastructure Services will migrate all department data from UAB File to the restricted NAS. You won't have to copy it yourself. And the plan is for it to maintain the same name as the current file server, UAB File, so that you see minimal to no user impact on your end when this migration actually takes place. Now, for OneDrive, if you have no workflow issues or no restricted data, go ahead and contact us and let us know, and we will go ahead and start your migration to OneDrive. And we also handle that migration as well. If you can separate out your workflow issues and your security issues, we can also work with you to migrate the data that doesn't have workflow or restricted data over to OneDrive as well. In both cases, our goal is to have minimal user impact. We can also, you won't have to stop working in your files at any particular time. We'll do Delta Sync copies of your data up to OneDrive, and when the cutoff date is reached, we'll flip the switch and everything will be migrated up, and then that's where you'll access it and you won't go back to UAB File. So at this point, I'd like to open up the floor to any questions anyone might have.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
So it's been mentioned that it's going to cost the same up until a point, and then the cost is going to change. Can you tell us what that cost is now and what it's going to change to?
Sure, I'm glad you asked that question. Currently, the restricted NAS will be the same cost for this fiscal year only as what you're already paying for UAB File. Further out, I don't have any information on what that pricing structure is going to be. Okay. I would expect it either to be the same or higher, obviously. But we will be communicating that information as soon as we have it.
Okay. Secondly, everything I have in my department share, this is Susan in legal, is restricted. Mm-hmm. So what can we do when we don't have an option to move off of? Once we get moved onto this restricted NAS, how are we going to be able to move off of it with everything being restricted and not able to go to the cloud?
Right. Well, we're actually, this RNAS is kind of considered a temporary solution to give everyone time to remediate data so that it is secure. Right now, our long-term strategy is to be decided. We have there's a storage and collaboration working group that's been put together, and I highly suggest that you join this group and work with them, and so that they can get your input about what you would like to see as a more long-term secure storage for files that cannot be sent to the cloud.
Okay.
Once again, that process hasn't been decided, but that's something that we are working on in a working group. So the restricted NAS isn't going to be shut off without getting some other place to put your data that's secure, basically. Okay. And just also, so you know, we are calling it the restricted NAS, and that going forward, I would anticipate additional security controls, more so than what you're used to dealing with on UAB file. Once again, I don't have all the details around that or the time frame when those would be implemented, but I would highly expect more controls over the types of data that get put there, and possibly additional scanning that'll go on the back end to make sure that things stay secure there as well. In a similar vein, on SharePoint Online, we're in the process of enabling DLP, which is a process that takes place inside of the SharePoint service on the back end. It's nothing that you have to touch, but basically it's going to look for things like credit card numbers and social security numbers, and it will flag files and lock them for editing to only the user and the last person to edit the file, and prompt them to go in and remediate, remove credit card numbers, remove social security numbers, and then it will automatically re-enable access. So that's one control that we're working on for SharePoint Online. And we're also, we handle that migration to SharePoint Online. You don't have to upload the data yourself. Obviously, if you have some data that you want to put there after the fact, then you'll have full access to do that as well.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Dr. Schmedley.
Hi, Dr. Schmedley.
What exactly does the process going to look like when you retire a UAV file and move to this RNAS device? And what kind of impact is that going to have on my users?
Sure, I'm glad you asked that question. Our current plan is to name this new RNAS the exact same thing that UAB file is named. So currently, I would assume most of your users that have map drives access that drive over a UNC path that references the host name of the server UAB file. So what we are planning on doing is swapping those two out. So we will swap the current UAB file host name and DNS entries for the RNAS. It will become UAB file, in other words. So none of your paths should change. All of your access rights will remain exactly the same.
Okay.
And you shouldn't see, obviously this will be planned over a weekend so that we have even more minimal impact, but you shouldn't see any service interruption at all. If you do, we will be here on the back end working on things, but we also have our great frontline support at Ask IT that will be aware of the move and the migration and there to assist anyone that has any issues at all.
Great, thank you.
If anybody else has any questions, I think I'll go ahead and give you back some time. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and participating. If you have any questions or current concerns, please reach out to us and let us know. Thank you very much.